Oh boy, welcome back to Chasing Thoughts with Chase. So today's video is less like your typical podcast episode that you're gonna see from me, and more of a status update about life. Mostly because I feel I really need to do this, and also I didn't prep a topic for this week at all. So first off, I'm just going to say that I do plan on continuing to drop an episode every Friday. I did stumble up last week by delaying the upload from Friday to Monday instead because I didn't finish editing the video in time. But I do plan on continuing to upload on Friday. My ideal time is Friday afternoon, but it will probably be closer to Friday evening. With this episode, I'm not sure. The second thing, and this is something you need to know and understand about me, is that I go through these weird cycles of 2 weeks I don't have a lot of energy and I struggle to motivate myself to get things done. And then I have a week where I'm energetic and I actually can get stuff done. Well, a week to 2 weeks that I can get 2 weeks that I can get stuff done. And I'm just heading off that 2 week cycle where I'm on the lower end of my productivity. So definitely I am going to start putting in more effort to the podcast episodes after this one. Another thing is it's 9 o'clock at night, so I'm a little bit tired right now. And also I'm out of Propel, so that kind of sucks. But I guess there's two things I really want to discuss. One is my current mental state, and then two is how I feel going into the future with content in general. The first thing is how I've been doing, which has been the beginning of this video, and also I'm going to get into a little more into it. I'm the kind of person that, unless I'm near trusted friends, I will usually just autopilot to saying I'm fine, everything's okay when people ask me how I'm doing, even though I might not be. And I just keep doing that until I literally can't force myself to do it anymore. And that often results in having meltdowns. Because my thing that I did a lot in the past was I would keep my emotions just buried down and bottle them up until it exploded. I generally try not to do that as much anymore, but I do admit old habits die really, really hard, so that is something I'm still struggling with. Second off is, and my dad mentioned this, and I've known this for a while, is I'm addicted to dopamine. Now, for those of you who might not understand what I'm talking about, essentially I like to doom scroll on YouTube a lot, and it kills my productivity because why edit a video, why record content when you can just doom scroll and have fun on YouTube? The only helpful times I've been on YouTube, there's two occasions where I've used YouTube and it's actually been helpful over the past couple weeks. The first occasion is when I'm doing my gym workout, which I haven't been I'll admit to everyone, I have not done at all this week, and I need to get back to it. So starting on Friday, I will start that back up again and make sure that I get those leg stretches. The second thing, case I find it useful, and I mentioned this in the intro of my newest video, is I've been watching Choctopus. He's a YouTuber with about 800k subs, and I realized I really like his content. I really like the way that it's arranged. It's more about the funny moments and the memes than it is about presenting a narrative or a story. And as much as I love those narrative story-driven videos for games, I tend to do better when I do those videos because those are more up my avenue and more up how I know how to edit videos. That doesn't mean I'm not going to do those, story-driven ones, because I still want to do those. It just means I'm not going to do them as often as the other videos. So here's what I'm thinking about what to do. So I'm thinking I'm going to start releasing 2 videos on my main channel every month. Not just... And then like 1 short every week, but that's beside the point. So the first video is just going to be probably something I pull from stream. Or something like that, where it's like a stream compilation video. Where it is all about more the memes and the funny moments. And then I have another video where it's more about the storytelling and telling like a cool story about games that could be either through streams or recording. Also, I'm just going to go off on a tangent here. I'm sorry, but this is kind of the nature of the podcast. If you didn't know, is that things happen and then they random things happen and random things pop into my mind and I just say it. So flies, I just have a genuine question. Do you think flies, specifically the common housefly, serves any ecological purpose? Like, if I were to snap my fingers, instantly kill all the flies in the world, not all the mosquitoes, specifically flies, houseflies, do you think there would be any ecological ramifications of that decision? Or do you think that all the ecologies of the world would just go on? I genuinely want to know. And I might look this up later on after the podcast recording because I do think that's a bit curious. That's something I've wondered for a while. So, I've been kind of beating around the bush here. And I know I do this a lot, especially when I try to communicate with people how I feel because I struggle to put in words how I feel. I'm just simply not at my best right now. I'm trying my best to make the channel work and do everything and get over my dopamine addiction and also another addiction that I probably will talk about in another podcast episode. It will not be this podcast episode. It will be or the next one, but it will be another one. So adding up all those things together, I've found it very difficult to make the good use of my time. And I feel like I should be making good use of my time because I could be making a lot of good content and a lot of really funny content and I could be really enjoying it. But yeah. And the reason I bring up the dopamine addiction is because my dad I think it was it was yesterday, he said that he was considering applying for a program where it's basically, I'm going to see like how you're addicted to dopamine and ways to detox yourself. And quite honestly, I'm just going to say this. I think most motivational things are a scam. I think that if someone's paying you money you have to pay someone money to get your shiz back together, that just seems very sketchy to me because you're attacking a very vulnerable contingency. And more often than not, it's like an Andrew Tate situation where you're just going to profit off them and you don't really care about their well-being. That's how I feel about it anyway. But my dad is his own person, and if he thinks that this program will help him, that's fine by him. But it really did get me thinking about my doom scrolling habit and how to stop that. Because, as I said, I don't really think I need a $25 program to stop myself. But at the same time, what I've been trying has not been working. So, I'm actually going to do something really drastic right now. I might regret this later on. But I genuinely think that I cannot be trusted with this app. So, if you guys don't know what I just did, I just deleted YouTube off my phone. Because that's where, like, the doom scrolling, like, the bad doom scrolling happens most of the time is on my phone, so I don't really use it for the channel at all, so, yeah. I just decided to do that because I genuinely felt the need to do that. I'm going to try it for a few days and I'm going to see if this helps at all. And now I feel like now's a good time as any to transition to the second part of my very impromptu topic, which is what are my plans for my channels in general. So my main channel, I've already kind of discussed what I want to do with it, which is to create 2 videos a month. One is basically like a funny haha meme video, and the other is like a epic cinematic video, and I'm gonna kind of do a blend of both on my channel. So I also have like a fun channel that I'm probably gonna release just to do like funny videos on about my imaginary world. The extent of that one will be I will most likely promote it once on my main channel, be like, hey, this channel exists if you're into silly, imaginary, stupid things. And then I will probably never mention it again and just see where the algorithm carries it. Then there's my Aswin Deluxe channel, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably gonna upload one or two videos a month every month or two. That one's probably going to be the slowest in terms of upload and also the most erratic in terms of uploads, because do random videos every time. There we go. I finally finished my statement. I'm probably going to do random videos every time. It's not going to be the same, but I already do know the first video I plan on releasing on that is going to be a vlog video where about my attendance of a Comic-Con. So for those of you who do not know, there is something called FanX Comic-Con. FanX 24. It's being held in Salt Lake City. And on the 27th and the 28th, I am going to that with my friend, Awesome Fartsome, aka Daniel Sampson, who I actually made a video with on the channel, I think all the way back in either 2022 or 2023. I can't remember. I think it was 2022 when I made the Super Mario Party video with him. If I'm being honest, I want to do another video with him. Like, not just a vlog, but also, like, another Mario Party video with him. Because that video was really entertaining to record, and I loved it. Even though I didn't get nearly as many views because I had, like, half the subscribers I did now. Which leaves the main question. What is my plan for the podcast going forward? Well, there's 2 things. One is I have this white shirt you see right here. I'm thinking I'm probably going to make this my actual wear for the podcast going forward for 2 main reasons. One of the most intimidating things to the podcast about me is getting dressed for it. So I think this eliminates a lot of that, because it's just a polo shirt I can put on and it still looks nice. I could still add the bandana if I wanted to. And 2 is the main fact of I don't really like using church shirts unless I have to, because they're usually very uncomfortable. So those are my 2 reasons. This is probably... But I still am going to occasionally wear it. Usually probably when I'm talking to someone else on the podcast. Which, speaking of which, I'm just going to spoil it to you guys. My plans for the first guest thing on the podcast was to get a couple of people together to talk about my friend's valedictorian talk in high school. Because I thought it was completely random that this friend I knew happened to be valedictorian that year, especially since of all the shenanigans they were holding. And if I'm being honest, the main thing I remember from my graduation ceremony, if there was anything that I remembered, it was just this feeling of being proud of just even being there, because a lot of people don't know that I actually was shooting for my GED. I had kind of given up on school at that point. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get the GED and not actually get my diploma. And then I learned later on in the year that I actually could get my diploma if I completed a credit class by a certain time. So I did it, albeit barely, but I still did it. And it was actually fairly satisfying to me. And that's saying something because even at that point, my dopamine had been fried to the point where I didn't enjoy the satisfaction of completing tasks the same way most other people do. Being able to stand there by side those who I called my friends and be able to say, hey, I graduated with a high school diploma, that was an accomplishment for me. Especially as someone who all their life through a lot of different people, not the people who I'm with now, but people in the past, like I'm have told me that I can't really do stuff. But then there's people like my parents and my friends who all stood up for me and told me, and especially my teachers, who told me that I was capable of more than I realized. And I do want to thank them right here. And I'm getting a little emotional here, but thank you to all of you for helping me with that. So I wanted to talk about his graduation talk because, one, I could mention about my feelings, more of my feelings about how I felt about graduating, but also, two, I genuinely wanted to talk about it because I don't remember that, other than the fact that I thought it was completely left field and that he kind of messed around with the valedictorian talk a little bit. So I'm thinking I'll be able to get that within the next 4 to 6 weeks. I can't make any promises because this is entirely dependent on how quickly I can get my information that I need. But rest assured, I'm going to stop procrastinating and actually get the information, like start making efforts to get the information. Mainly because I know that this friend of mine who gave this valedictorian talk recently returned from a mission. By the way, welcome home, Elder Broadbent. How was your 2 years at whatever mission you were at? I don't know. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to give you guys an update on my life. Next week, I'll be discussing... I'm literally just looking for random things to talk about here. I don't know why. I'm trying to think of a topic to think about next week. Because, believe it or not, I have not thought of the topic for next week. Funny, right? Screw it. I'm going to talk about the ACT. I just saw my ACT manual down there. I'm going to talk about the ACT, some interesting facts I learned about it, as well as my personal experience with the SAT. And that personal experience of being someone who did not study for the ACT at all. And also, for anyone who's watching who's not a junior yet, why they should study for the ACT and not follow my example. I just want to say to everyone who's been watching the podcast so far, thank you for supporting it. This podcast has gotten a surprising amount of support considering how my other channels have grown. So I just want to say thank you. And also, if you just randomly bumped into this video by accident, if you want to hear more about the podcast, I have them all on like the YouTube's podcast feature. I have all the episodes put together there. And I don't want to say like the cliche thing that every YouTuber ever says, because I want to stand out and I want you guys to know that you already know what to do because it's been drilled in your head 500 times if you're in YouTube by now. So if you really do appreciate the content, just check down there. And if you do want to do it, go ahead. And if you don't, that's perfectly fine. I'll continue making fun podcast content every Friday either way. Anyway, love you all. And I'll see you next Friday.